As a young girl, I spent some time on the Darling Downs nannying, and around a time when it was experiencing a rat plague. I awoke one morning and found 3 rats in bed with me. My friend Veronica Wheel from Mount Isa too had such an experience, and I can relate to her poem, The Night I Caught the Rat. I've got this little problem. My family has turned green. No, not the furry mouldy stuff. That isn't what I mean. But they're into saving forests and protection of the whale and preserving the ecology, some kind of holy grail. I live out in the country, but my daughters visit me, and they say protecting ozone is a world priority. One day they saw my cupboards with its store of poison sprays and told me very kindly, "Mum, you'll have to change your ways. We're going back to nature, to a life that's pure and clean." "You mean," said I have to slaughter flies without mortine? And what about the rat that visits me of late? Now, how am I to deal with him without a poison bait?" But poison was a no-no, and they said next time they came they'd bring along a rat trap, which would kill him just the same. And so they did, and when I set it, well, I hardly dared to cough, 'cause the spring was so darn vicious it would take your fingers off. But I learned to set the gadget, though with definite unease, and I baited it that evening with a tempting piece of cheese. Then I checked the trap next morning when I clambered from my bed, and I honestly expected that I'd find the rodent dead. But alas, no corpse was visible. Although the cheese had gone, it seems the rat was smarter than my daughters reckoned on. So I tried the little blighter with a piece of bullock's tongue. Next day the meat had vanished, though the trap had not been sprung. I tried with nuts and chicken, and with different kinds of meat. I glimpsed the rodent sometimes, and he really looked a treat. His coat was sleek and glossy, and his waistline growing broad. Well, it wasn't any wonder, with his rat trap smorgasbord. I suggested to my daughters that they buy a better trap. So they brought this metal oblong with a funny little flap which folded down. And when you placed a bait inside the cage and the rat went in to get it, then the flap would disengage. I tried this metal marvel of the rodent catcher's art, and at some time after midnight I was woken with a start. That snap! At last I had him! Or at least, so I supposed. So I hurried to the kitchen, and I found the trap was closed. But was the rat inside it? I bent down so I could see, and I pushed my finger slowly on the entrance. Silly me! For as if he'd been propelled by an exploding powder keg, the rat went shooting past me. Then he scampered up my leg. I was dressed in my old nightie, a warm and cosy sheath, when I suddenly remembered I'd no knickers underneath. I was galvanised to action, and my arms began to flap as I galloped round the kitchen with the speed of old Farlap. I was kicking like a brumby as it comes out of the chute, but no matter what I tried, I couldn't shake the little brute. He'd dug his tiny claws in and was clinging to my knee, and I think that he was screaming, though not half as loud as me. I had a sudden brainwave, and my legs began to dance in a brisk, high-kicking can-can, like they do in Paris, France. It seems my intuition for a change was not at fault. It dislodged the little varmint who performed a somersault. He vanished from my kitchen, doubtless glad to be alive, while I slumped down at the table, with my heart in overdrive. I went and filled the kettle, and I made a cup of tea, and I had 3 tots of whiskey, just to calm my nerves, you see. My life is back to normal, and the rat has not returned. I'm hoping that he'll keep in mind the lesson that he's learned. I'm wary now of rodents, for he gave me quite a scare. Next time I check the rat trap, I'll be in my underwear.